Hey everyone, Mitch and Manoj here, and welcome to another episode of the Ramp Careers Daily Update. Today we're going to be talking about why do we hold on to unqualified or bad prospects longer than we should. We've got our own thoughts and we have our own skeletons in the closet of leads that Manoj and I have held on to for a little bit longer than we should have. But let's talk through this a lot. I think there's a lot of different things, a lot of different forces at play as far as why we may hold on to a prospect longer than we should, why we and when we should cut them loose early on. Manoj, what are your thoughts about just around some of the pressures that or some of the forces that go into this this type of situation?
Yeah, bringing back bad memories, Mitch, bringing back funny memories, but bad memories for sure. Now that we have the benefit of hindsight, and I hope that we don't continue doing it, like we may have done in the past when we were a bit less experienced and we were still trying to figure our way through the sales process. Again, with the benefit of hindsight, what I think is probably the common denominator for folks that do it is, listen, man, I mean, we all need some kind of achievement motivation, right? And until someone signs a contract, you're looking for ways to gauge progress that you're making. And saying that something's a prospect gives you some kind of a benchmark that you've hit, or says, okay, I've ticked this box. I agree that, activity metrics are somewhat of an indicator, sure, but it's not the same as saying, all right, I have 7 people that are interested, right? And you're able to, kind of list them out there or talk to your AE or whoever you're reporting into. And if someone says, what do you have on your plate or what's in your pipeline? You don't want to say, I've sent, 4,000 emails and made 2,000 calls. What people would want to say is, well, I got 10 companies that I've set up meetings with, right? And so it's this like immediate human need for wanting some kind of a benchmark. And I'm not trying to say that people put completely random, awful prospects on the list. It's always the ones in the gray area where kind of, deep within, that probably not going to happen. Let me just slip that in and see if I can change their mind, or see if they can change their mind, or see if something else happens. So I feel like it's well-intentioned, and I feel like, it comes from a good place. But quite honestly, the reason why people do it is because it's a very short-term, feel-good type of thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think anyone. Well, I take it back. I wouldn't say anyone, but I don't think often it's done maliciously that people are trying to skew the metrics and throw bad leads into their pipeline. I think it's simply because we get happy years, and like you said, we want to show progress, and we've got the pressures of hitting our numbers, and we've got and we just don't want to hear no over and over again, right? So if somebody who even may be slightly unqualified gives you a glimmer of hope that they're interested and they're willing to talk to you and keep talking to you, even if there's no chance you're ever going to sell them, you'll keep having those conversations. And I often think back to the quote of, don't confuse activity with progress, right? And I got to constantly remind myself or constantly check myself, am I actually making progress in this account and towards my number, or am I just having these conversations just for conversation's sake?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to keep that in mind. Maybe we can go into some tips here at the end, but I think a lot of it has to just do with the pressure of hitting a number, right?
Yeah.
And making your pipeline look good. Your manager's going to check it daily or weekly, and you want to have something to show for in there. Better to have 10 leads and this is the mindset. Better have 10 leads and a couple of them not be good fits than to have only 3 leads in there and you be at the bottom of the pack.
Yeah.
I don't know how we fix that.
Yeah.
Right. It kind of starts from the top, and it's leadership's responsibility to say, hey, look, I'd rather you be under-reporting, or I'd
Yeah.
rather you be accurately reporting than over-reporting and half of it be garbage. But
Yeah.
that's tough, right? That's hard to change.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think especially if these are, early career professionals and you're just starting your sales career, you haven't really seen a deal go through from cradle to grave, right? Today, a lot of sales development reps, business development reps, they're not responsible for closing. They don't really, have a great pulse of, hey, what is this prospect's experience going to be as you think through the sales process, right? I mean, all they're responsible for is one very discrete piece of the process. And so, particularly for those folks, I really think the onus is on sales leadership to provide a safe space where you understand why there is a risk that this could happen. It's an immensely stressful job. Not all companies offer the tools that are needed for you to succeed. And like I said, with a lot of early stage growth companies, some of these companies are likely going to fail because they may have underlying issues and has nothing to do with the sales process, right? So you add that layer of complexity. I think it's important for whether it's the AEs, whether it's the sales development leaders, whether it's the sales leaders, to provide a bit of a safe space for SDRs and BDRs and let them know that it's okay. Even if your prospect pipeline, it's better for your prospect pipeline to be accurate and have good quality meetings than a lot of fluff that doesn't really go anywhere. I'm completely with you there. And then the reality is that, from a very selfish perspective, if you're an SDR or a BDR, you don't want these prospects to, run away from you because you put them through a bad cycle, right? You'd rather them come back when they're ready. I think they'll have a lot of respect for you if you drop them and then revisit it in the future if that's appropriate, instead of putting them through a process when both of you know real well that nothing good's going to come out of it. Your AE will respect you and it's going to serve you well in the long term. With that said, like how would you kind of go about making sure that this does not happen, right? If you're an SDR or a BDR, what should you do?
I think the first thing is you need a qualification framework, right? And whether it's, I mean, hopefully it's not you as an SDR or you as an AE coming up with it on your own. Hopefully your company has established some sort of framework that the whole team's using, whether it be BANT or ANUM or MEDIC or whatever it is. But basically the four big buckets. Let's make sure we have budget, authority, need, timeline. And that's what you're working off of to qualify those leads. Past that, it's important to document all your notes so that if it is questioned, if a prospect is questioned, why did you disqualify them or why did you qualify them? You can go back and show exactly why. You can show that you're doing it accurately. I think that's important. And then you need to keep yourself honest, and you need to keep your AE honest as well, or they need to keep you honest as well, right? So you have a good open dialogue both ways, so that everyone understands, why am I disqualifying this lead or why am I qualifying it? And I think that's a small part of your world you can own. It's tough though when 4 levels up the chain, right? You talked about seeing this at smaller companies. I've seen it at big companies where all the way up the chain, everyone's inflating their numbers. The SDRs are inflating their numbers. The AEs are inflating their pipeline numbers. The RVPs are inflating their pipeline numbers. The AVPs are, because everyone's got a bigger number to hit.
Yeah.
So it starts at the top with the top number. And then everyone down the chain says, all right, how am I going to hit that? I'm going to increase my pipe a little bit. I'm going to inflate this ACV a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to add this lead here.
Yeah.
And it becomes a pretty vicious cycle all
Yeah.
the way down. And then you got a CRM full of garbage. And you can tell it pisses me off a little bit, but I think there's a better way. Like there's an honest way. We've seen it.
I agree with you, man. I mean, to your point, it is a vicious cycle, right? Because you have a lot of bad prospects, and it's going to affect your close rate,
Yep.
inevitably. And so now you look at historical results, and you look at a year's worth of data, and you say, well, crap, my close rate is 10%, so I guess now I need more leads, right? And so when does the buck stop? Because the next year you have to do even more, right? You'd rather have a close rate a lot higher and start with a smaller pool than the other way around. I think the onus here is not on the SDRs, BDRs, at least for the first, no, I wouldn't call it the first offense, but the first couple of times this happens, I really think the onus is on sales leadership to be a little bit kind, be a little bit gentle, to understand what's going on. Because this will, again, the habits that you develop early on selling will stick with you for a long, long time, right? And so having that mindset early on and having the right kind of guidance will help you not just as a SDR or BDR, but as a sales org in general. I do agree with you. I think a lot of the funnel metrics are probably off because of this leakage in every step of the process.
Yeah, and then how does that influence hiring and growth metrics and fundraising? And I mean, and maybe it's not, maybe it all evens out in the wash, but I don't know. I personally, when we were leading sales teams, it felt better to have confidence in the numbers than for everybody to be questioning them up and down
Yep.
the funnel. And it's
Yeah.
always tough.
Yeah, listen, we've been there. Like I said, I'd be lying if I said that I haven't been or I hadn't done a bit of this in the beginning. Where again, it's not malicious, but deep within, I don't know. I just look back and I'm like, man. I mean, I kind of knew that this really wasn't going to close, or timing wasn't right. I kind of wanted the logo on my on my list of prospects for a couple of quarters. It makes for a good story. I don't know. I mean, and these guys, the other challenge is that sometimes prospects will play along, right? I mean,
It's
depending
hard
on
to tell, right?
hard to
Yeah.
tell, right? I mean, maybe they'll say, sure, I'll take a call, or they're interested, but it's the timing is off, right? Maybe in their mind they're thinking, all right, I'll listen to this guy, I'll get back to them in 6 months, but you may be thinking I'm going to close them this quarter. That's
Yep.
another challenge, right? Where you see a lot of these damn contracts that are out that have a perpetual, it's under review. That's another big sign for me. Typically, when I see contracts, if you have a under review stage, if certain companies have it, and that's taken a long time, there you go. That's your issue. They were never going to sign. It's you just under contract out.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've learned over my career is proposals don't go out unless there's some certainty, and contracts definitely don't go out unless there's absolute guarantee that's coming back with a signature. Otherwise, you're really shooting yourself in the foot and wasting everyone's time involved.
Yeah,
And it leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth, of course.
yeah.
All right,
So
I think we've beaten this a little bit here. But in summary, right, it's why you shouldn't hold on to those leads longer than you should. It's a waste of your own time when you could be prospecting and you could be selling to other folks who are going to buy.
yeah,
It's a bad experience for the prospect themselves, right? If you keep trying to sell them, lead them through a cycle that they're never going to buy in, and then it inflates or confuses the metrics of the company, which ultimately is bad for your business.
yeah, for sure. And then sales leaders, like I said, please be kind and please be gentle, especially the first couple of times you see this happening. Your SDRs and BDRs are not trying to be malicious. It's a very human thing to do. You can teach them, you can coach them out of this behavior and catch it early. But great chat, and look forward to chatting with you about some other topic tomorrow.
All right. See you, everyone.
Awesome.